We begin with the judge tossing out the cases against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James. CBS News Justice correspondent Scott MacFarlane has the latest.
A major defeat for the Trump administration here and for the U.S. Department of Justice. In one single blow, a federal judge has knocked down and dismissed two high-profile criminal cases, one against the former FBI Director James Comey, another against New York's top law enforcement official, the Attorney General Letitia James, but both on the same grounds. The judge ruled the U.S. attorney appointed just recently in September and who was handling these two cases was unlawfully appointed, and therefore the cases collapse. Lindsey Halligan, the U.S. attorney who was a Trump White House aide as recently as September, was appointed in September and promptly brought these two cases against political critics of President Trump. But the judge ruled here that Lindsey Halligan is not to be in that position because there's a limit to how long a U.S. attorney, an acting U.S. attorney, can be in that post without either being confirmed by the Senate or approved by local judges in the district court. Halligan, according to the judge, has been unlawfully in that post since September, and because in this unique case, Lindsey Halligan is the only prosecutor whose name is on these cases, the only one who stood before the grand jury and got the indictments of James Comey and Letitia James. If she's disqualified, there's nothing less to support the cases. Letitia James and James Comey have both denied wrongdoing, both denied being federal criminals, but neither had a chance to argue the merits of the case. It's now dismissed without prejudice to be determined if and when the Department of Justice tries to bring these cases back. Now back to you.
Scott MacFarlane, thank you. Later this hour, I'll speak with CBS News legal contributor and Loyola Law School professor Jessica Levinson about the judge's decision to dismiss the cases against Comey and James. That's right here, live on CBS News 24/7. Let's bring in CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang. So, Weijia, how is the White House reacting?
Well, Lindsay, President Trump himself has not yet reacted publicly, but his press secretary, Karoline Leavitt, talked to reporters and said that he still has confidence in Lindsey Halligan, pointing out that Trump believes she is qualified extremely for this position and reiterating that she was put in that role legally and insisted that Halligan is not carrying water for President Trump. In fact, when asked how the president was reacting to what happened today, Leavitt said that the president said that we have seen this before. We have seen partisan judges take unprecedented steps to try to intervene in accountability before. Of course, we know that the Department of Justice, the Attorney General Pam Bondi, plans to appeal the judge's decision right away.
Weijia, top U.S. and Ukrainian officials met in Geneva on Sunday to discuss that 28-point proposal to end Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The proposed plan called for Ukraine to give up some land to Russia. While those were happening, Face the Nation's Margaret Brennan asked the Ukrainian ambassador to the U.S. about her country's negotiating position. Let's listen.
How do you respond to the argument that Ukraine is losing on the battlefield and that you need to negotiate now?
Well, Ukraine is one of the largest European countries, and on a regular, within 1 week, there are more than 1,000 combat engagements happening on all the front line. And Russia is trying to present that it's only happening in Pokrovsk, right? So this is a victorious narrative Russia is using as a tactics of pressuring or changing the reality also here in the United States.
What came out of Sunday's meeting and where do we go from here?
Well, a lot of optimism, Lindsay, on both sides for the U.S. and Ukraine, both sides signaling that they made a lot of progress, that they were able to negotiate the framework, and that they will continue to work. The president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, even said as much, and we don't know exactly where that will go from here, though, because President Trump initially set a Thanksgiving Day deadline for Ukraine to come on board, to reach an agreement. So I asked today, Karoline Leavitt, whether the progress that both sides laid out was enough to meet that deadline, or if the president was looking for more of a commitment, something more definitive. And she said that he wants a deal as soon as possible. And she tried to focus on all the work that's being done. So it seems like that will continue. will talks. But again, there are some very specific things that not only Ukraine, but the Europeans are asking for when it comes to security guarantees, when it comes to things that Russia has to give up as well. And so it's unclear what that time frame is now for anything definitive. But Lindsey, we have, of course, been talking about this for quite some time, and the president has set deadlines before, but his aides say he is always willing to adjust based on whether progress is being made. And again, both Ukrainians and Americans say that is being done.
Weijia, Jiang, thank you.